You're on the Deadline Report, Fresh FM. We're going to basically wrap this up by talking minor party. The minor party I want to talk to you about is the New Zealand Political Party. That's Jamie Lee Ross. That's also called Advance. It's tied up with Billy T, or as I like to call Billy Bullshitter. This is the party which, as I said, everyone goes on about the alt-right, white conspiracy. So this is, bro Billy, the alt-white conspiracy theory pops up just in time as Key and Podesta forecast this sort of characters would appear. We've been told for a year that this is what's going to happen. Once, that the actual mainstream media is actually surprised. Everyone in the middle class are getting hysterical as a party that can't even muster 2% suddenly gets given all this oxygen about the media. Oh, don't listen to these conspiracy theories. Oh, they're so popular. They're all over the place. Well, they said they can't even get 2.2% of the vote, but of course it's drowning out any other critique which is not getting admitted that is left-wing critique of this government. And that's kind of what they're really there for. And really, the end of the proof of the pudding is let's look at what they all don't talk about, and that's the Sherlock Holmes principle of the hound that does not bark. Billy, Jacinda, Winston, and the media all don't talk about the Defence Connections Rocket Lab. They don't talk about the water privatisation, which is not just China, but it's companies like Coca-Cola. They don't talk about forestry privatisation. They don't talk about the billions of money now being spent on defence. They don't talk about the state sector reforms. They don't talk about the water regulation bill. So judge them by the things that they are not talking about. Billy is a flim-flam boy. The victim is, if you look to his LinkedIn profile, all the things he's talking about, Agenda 2030, Chinese road belt. If you look at his own LinkedIn profile, you see that he's actually gainfully employed by both those things that he's terribly opposed at. Back in the day, they used to be, everybody was pro-China, so these little schmoozy boys that you can find lots of them lurking around Waitangi, with their, trying to look for an opportunity to put their snout in the barrel. That's, no surprise here. Billy's a friend, of course, of Jane Jones, New Zealand First. Jamie Lee Ross gave New Zealand First their proxy vote, so they're actually a lot more uncommon than they're actually making out. Michael Stace, as NZP's 2IC, talks about the New Zealand reset. Ron Marks talks about the Pacific reset, which is actually the replacement model for the Agenda 2030 that Billy has now fallen out of favour. The Agenda 2030 was more pro-China. It's still there, but it's not as important as it used to be, because now Pacific reset is the big thing that everyone goes on about, that in Vision 2030. Just before I talked about in previous issues, the yachts that turned up at the viaduct for the America's Cup, and that was Larry Page's Sensors, Rocinante's, Jane Bezos' Rocinante. It was one of the Murdoch boys, their private yacht, and all these big tech companies which are in New Zealand doing all these things which are part of the Internet of Things, which are not just about rolling out 5G, but helping provide an infrastructure for the Joint Space Command, which New Zealand's part of again. So this whole thing that we're part of this arms race into space, nobody's talking about. Very big issue, but we won't talk about that. And at the end of the day, you've also got, that was down there, was Gale Force was one of the yachts, which is Wayne LaFare's little particular boat. He was here. And he's the go-boy particular connection between Koch brothers and Trump, and the Koch brothers also go between Trump and Soros, who built the Trump Foundation. So at the end of the day, it's all a bit of a myth. Like Soros is anti-outright. He did actually finance the Trump Tower. At the end of the day, everybody was actually quite fond of China until China said, no, we don't want to let George Soros come into our markets, and that's when George Soros packed a sad, and now everyone's actually against China, when beforehand it was all okay, and we'd forgotten about the fact that they were fascists, and they're not communists, they're fascists. One of the day of this election is going to be whoever wins. It's going to be American imperialism. The loser of it is going to be Antarctica, where American military expansion is creeping. It's going to be, the loser is going to be the Pacific Ocean with the mineral deep sea mining. So much for our commitment to nuclear free and our commitment to climate change and the environment. This has been Virginia. You've been listening to the Deadline Report. Ben Virginia Investigates on Fresh FM. Please check out my website and check out the donation box. Thank you very much. See you next time.